Hi, this is Abby with Crafty Corner, and I'm here at Stampendous with Fran. Hi, Fran.
Hi, yeah.
And she's going to do a short demonstration for us here today.
Okay. We're using some of the new Stampendous stamps that are all part of the Fran-tage collection. I'm the Fran in Fran-tage.
Awesome.
So we've got these little kiddo characters that are really fun. And to do kind of an aged card, I did some coffee spritzing on the paper in the background. And then this little postage stamp or postcard stamp, I stamped on newsprint. And this gives me a really fun aged look. So I've glued a bit of just torn pieces with my glue stick just to give me a nice little backdrop. And we'll glue another little piece on. You can trim the edges a little bit later. And then one of our new jumbo stamps, this is the beautiful big pine cones, and I'm just going to ink it with the Versamark and then emboss it with a couple of the new colors. So let's stamp this across the top. When I'm pressing on top of the other paper, I need to press a little bit harder so that it'll go across the edges of the paper that I glued down. But if it's thin paper, it works pretty good. And get my handy dandy little spoon here. So I have some of the mahogany tinsel embossing powder, and I'm going to try to just sort of find the pine cones and maybe the branch in there. Tap off a little bit of that. And then this is one of the new Aged Hunter embossing powders, and it's got such a beautiful mix of colors to it. So I'm just going to cover everything else that's still sticky, and by putting it in an open container, it's easy to spoon it on. Okay, so I could emboss it just like this, but it's quite fun to add a bit more that now I'm just going to sprinkle. So let's add a bit more up here, for example. I don't want to cover up too much of the design, but make it interesting. And then what I added, this mix is made up of all of these different new color fragments, the glass glitter, and anything green and sparkly, and some of the shaved ice, for example. I just threw it all in here together.
So, Fran, you can almost take any colors you want and create your own mix.
Yes, a unique one for whatever project you're working on, and just a little bit goes a long way. So now it's just sitting there, and there's nothing inky holding it in place, nothing sticky. So the important thing is that I heat it all from underneath. So we'll start at this area that has the most, and I don't know if you can see up close. It's so fun to watch it melt. And it just all
So inking it underneath is kind of making the base, the adhesive for that pile.
Heating from underneath, especially the pile, where there's nothing else holding it. Gravity's just going to pull it all down in, and it just gets melted, or we call it encrusted, into the embossing powder. So I call this the encrusted jewel technique. And let me see if I can hold it. Now I can turn it. Now I could heat it from the top once I'm to these outer edges here. And
I don't know if you guys were close enough to see, but as she was doing it from the bottom, you could see it almost pulling in and holding everything, like she said, melting really nicely together, and the colors come together nicely too.
Yeah, and these mixes have little bits of gold and silver metallic in it, so it really comes together quite nicely. So now let's say we're going to put our other little kiddo's character on the front here. You almost hate to cover up too much of the background, but I'll do a nice little edging technique. And if you can see here, this little card is a similar one. So I just take my Versamark to get kind of a decal sort of edge all the way around. And since this is a small card, it helps to have something to hang on to it here. And let's do this in the Aged Hunter again. Tap it all the way off. And if it's a little bit heavier border than you want, before you heat it, just take a dry brush and play into it, kind of move it around a little bit, maybe open it up a little bit further. But if you like that edge, just leave it that way. And then the more embossing powder, the more I can get some of these other little fragments and things to hang on. Actually, I'm going to need to hold it level at this point. Okay. And then we'll repeat the same effort of heating from underneath. Looks like she's peeking through the forest here with all the greens.
It doesn't. It doesn't take too long to heat either.
Yeah, and it comes out a little bit different every time, and watching it melt is half the fun, I think. I never get tired of it.
And what heating tool are you using?
Any heat tool will work just fine. I'm getting quite close to it, but just coming up from underneath. And okay, so there it's still warm, but there we have a lovely little piece that you can mount onto your card. And we'll just take this off. And that kind of brings all the different things together to give you this encrusted jewel technique.
Perfect. And you can add any embellishments or details that you want. On this one, I saw you added a cute little coupon or ticket on there.
I went to a workshop this morning, and those were the not winning tickets. But I thought I need the red to work into my Christmas project.
Well, we love recycling. So using things, even if they're a little unlucky, we love recycling and using things. So you can add anything you want. And here's the card finished. I don't know if you can see that. It's really pretty. So, Fran, this is beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thanks for coming to see.
No problem. Again, this is Abby with Crafty Corner, and thanks for coming to visit.